What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods. I am according to Woods, and this is former U of MMA champion Pius Eno Lobo, better known as Voodoo Maxima.
Share. Thank you, my friend.
Yes.
How are you doing this wonderful Saturday evening?
Hey, this is Saturday night's main event because we are doing this on a Saturday, our first Saturday, because we
Yeah,
covered the pre-show, our first time doing a pre-show of Bellator 255 that happened last night, and we're doing the post-show. So obviously Bellator tapes on Friday or has their events on Friday, so we're doing Saturday as the post-show. So
that's right.
this is amazing, an incredible card. And I'm good. How about you, Voodoo Maximus?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Morning full of football. Now we're gonna do some MMA. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, let's get into it. Well, first off, let me just say that if you guys are like, oh, I didn't know how to find Bellator or whatever, if you've got YouTube, literally the whole thing, the prelims as well as the, what is it? The main card, they were on YouTube, right? They were on the
Yeah.
Pluto app. So these are free apps if you live in North America that you can download
Mhm.
and view it in its entirety. You don't necessarily need Showtime, at least for 255. I don't know how it's going to go going forward, but at least Bellator 255 was live and free. So it was an amazing deal. I will kind of start off the show, not, I mean, it is kind of somber, but MMA commentating great Mike Goldberg has been released from Bellator,
Wow.
and that's a big one. Now, it was kind of cool to see Mauro Ranallo because he was the voice of Strike Force on Showtime back in the day. And one
Mhm.
thing that I loved about the presentation of of this was the fact that they uh, the fact that they kind of gave like embrace to the lineage. The first time in how many years that MMA has been on Showtime. Like all of these cool little things. They played back some stuff. The video package. They were like, some of the greats and everything, and some are still here. Right when Chris Cyborg was dominant champion in Strikeforce
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
dominant
Mhm.
champion here in Bellator, so it was a nice little
Mhm.
tie-in. Shout out to Mauro Ranallo. I mean, he
Most
does
of.
everything: MMA, pro wrestling, boxing, and he's here again. That was really cool. He's got a brand new do, but again, Goldie, Goldie's gone.
Oh,
Mm, yeah,
yeah. I hope Goldie lands somewhere comfortable for him next. I would like to have him back in the UFC, but I know those ships have sailed.
yeah, it's weird. Like I want
It is what it is.
I want Goldie back in the UFC. I want Jimmy Smith back and Sean Wheelock back in Bellator. But Wheelock
Mhm.
is, I think he's over in one, and or he's
Mhm.
doing something overseas for sure. So we won't get that.
Mhm.
And Don McGar, our friend, what's YouTube Woods? Yes, yes, Don McGar, what's YouTube? We're, we're on it. And Jimmy Smith scenario. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, Jimmy Smith got I mean, at the discretion of none other than Joe Rogan himself, was like, hire this guy. He only got a year run, and it looked like Goldie got the same treatment over in Bellator. Uh, Unfortunate, but I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles, as
That's right.
Bruce Almighty says.
That's right. That's right. You mentioned crumble. It was very interesting to see how Bronco Busick crumbled at the hands of Jordan Newman. Jordan Newman, man, he was on fire. He was on fire. He was a perfect mixed martial artist. Let's just call it that. Against this particular opponent, Bronco, he was just custom built to defeat that man. You know what I mean?
Yes,
He was firing on all engines. His wrestling was awesome. Ground and pound to finish the fight. second to none performance. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed his work.
Absolutely, and paying, showing that he's not paid by the hour, gets a nice little win, and literally starting off this historic card, the first on Showtime, with a TKO in the second round. But
Mhm.
if it was KO TKOs was what you were in the market for, well, damn it, you got a discount because you got a 2-for-1. Because in back-to-back fights, we had that, and we had Ronan Feraldo, and
Mhm.
he basically KOs in 90 seconds of the very first round. Trevor Grudy.
Mhm.
The scarecrow got put out to the field, it seems like.
Mhm. Hey, hey, for this particular matchup, remember well, I was talking about perhaps Roman will go after the body. Roman was
Mhm.
like, nah, man, no time for body shots. I'm not here to throw body shots. I'm coming for your head. Head clean off. You know what I'm saying? That was his motto. And he went in there and he took that fight in the first round. He took it. I mean, those overhands to the hooks, oh my goodness. Everything was on point. That Trevor dude, he took some heavy shots in this fight. In that short period of that first round, he took heavy shots until he succumbed to those shots. Eventually, he must have taken at least 6 solid shots, and the sixth or seventh one put him out, and that's how that one went.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And Don McGuire wants to know how relevant was his free flow voodoo.
This one had no free flow, man. The Roman fight, it was more, it was more flow state. It was more flow state because it seemed that it was a brawl like. You know what I mean? It wasn't a systematic destruction. It could have been a systematic destruction, but Roman felt that this is the energy necessary to vanquish Trevor. So he initiated and it worked. So if it works for him, that works for him. You know, can't really say much about it. But it worked for him. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it did. It did. Don McGuire is announcing Woods I will be in Long Beach Tuesday. That's amazing. That's amazing. California's glad to have you.
That's
I
right.
have been in the house since November, so but I'm glad to have you. Glad to have you. Hopefully, you're hooking up with Team Body Shop and the McKees, and shout out to AJ McKee, which we're going to get into a little bit later.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
but yes, we are. And now, obviously, it was kind of if you're a Southern California person and aficionado and an aficionado of all things Millennia MMA, this was kind of a somber moment because Jose Augusto Acevedo defeats
Hmm.
Johnny Bravo, Jonathan
Hmm.
Wilson,
Hmm.
like literally 2 seconds left in the round, the first round, and he basically submits Jonathan Wilson. So, what were your thoughts on this one?
Um, it was quite simple. Juju went there, and it seemed he had size advantage. He had strength advantage. He just pretty much bulldozed over him. I didn't like to see it go down like that, but it was what happened. He was able to initiate good force. Put him down on the
Mm-hmm.
ground, keep him on the ground, and do what he had to get the submission.
That's no 100%, 100%, and giving us insight. Yes, it's AJ McKee's birthday,
That's
so
right.
a
That's right.
hearty early birthday salute goes to the finalist, one of the finalists of the N number one contender to the featherweight championship of Bellator, as well as the championship and $1 million
Hmm.
for Bellator's featherweight
That's
Grand
right.
Prix. So
That's right.
that's a that's a nice little cherry on top of the. He's probably not eating cake because we know when the fight's gonna be, but hearty shout out to. Hey, I mean, he did amazingly well. I
mhm,
enjoyed
mhm,
so much of his commentary last night.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
I actually got to chat with him a little bit, him and Antonio, his
mhm,
father,
mhm, mhm,
briefly as they were making the trek back out here
mhm,
from Connecticut. So,
mhm, mhm,
so yeah, man, it was just like that was so great, so great. He's
mhm,
got a. I mean, obviously he's built for this. He's built for
mhm,
this, and
mhm,
it's just cool to see it materialize in a way
mhm.
that it has.
Yeah, and even though it's slow progress, it's still progress. Now we're starting to hear $1 million in PFL, $1 million in Bellator. We're hearing millions everywhere now. So this is a small testament to the minor increase, you know, in accommodations, for the mixed martial arts world, especially the fighters. So
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Don McGuire says, "Yep, he was really good. Come down to the body shop. If the body shop is like 10 feet away from me, absolutely. If it's outside those doors, there ain't no bodies to be shopped." Which that was weird to say. It was weird to say. But shout out to Team Barty Stop, Tony McKee. There's a litany of guys and gals in there that are just putting, I mean, like a maximum effort and just tremendous, you know. And yeah, 17-0, Omi is tremendous. McKee had
yeah,
beat the best. No, 100%, 100%. So we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. But before we
yeah,
do, we have in the third round, Christian CG Gonzalez
yeah,
defeats Roger El Matador Huerta,
yeah.
and I was actually surprised how. I mean, obviously Christian Gonzalez got the better of Huerta, but with
Mhm,
as many lumps literally that Huerta's taken in literally every promotion under the sun,
mhm,
and here in Bellator, right, long term UFC veteran, Ultimate Fighter alumnist, right?
mhm,
I'm
mhm, mhm,
surprised that it took so long for the young upstart, the thoroughbred Christian Gonzalez, to
mhm,
put him away.
mhm, mhm. Well, this is Roger Huerta we're talking about. The man.
Yeah,
He's been in the sport for a very long time. So with age comes wisdom. His fight IQ is high, so it's
yes.
not going to be easy for Chris Gonzalez to just go in there and just, you know. And actually, didn't we like guess this would be like a split decision victory for Christian
I
Gonzalez?
think you said yeah. We both said it. I I
Something like that,
I,
right?
I knew that Huerta was going to lose.
Yes,
I
yes,
felt it. I felt it just
yes,
because you can't train your chip, right?
yes, yes,
With as
yes,
many, it's a kind of a paradox as a fighter, and this
yes,
is just optics from outside. But it looks like when you're youthful, you want the experience, and it's
yes,
that in life, right? When you're
yes,
youthful, you want the experience, right? And then
yes,
when you
yes,
have the experience, your body starts breaking down. The youth
yes,
dissipates, at a rapid state. It seems like
yes.
it happens right before our eyes in some cases, right?
Hmm,
So
hmm.
that's what I thought that was gonna play in part, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I could,
it did,
yes, I was shocked on
it
this
did,
fight. No,
it
100%.
it it did play a major factor. I mean, we knew going into this fight that Christian Gonzalez was going to win. We agreed on that, and the only thing, the biggest evidence we had was his youth, right? His youth, his record, 6-0, right? So there's no reason why he couldn't beat the physically aged Roger Huerta. So it is what it is. Chris Gonzalez, he went in there and he gave him a whole lot of wrestling. One thing we know about wrestling is it requires a certain level of cardio, consistent cardio to execute those wrestling moves over and over and over. This is what Khabib has as an advantage. His body is able to maintain that pace, and he puts it on everybody.
Yeah,
He puts it on everybody, and they physically break down. That's what Chris Gonzalez did. You know, he was fighting an older man, so he put the tempo on him. A young man's tempo is usually better than the old man's tempo. So he kept him in there. He had to completely immobilize him physically,
Yes.
strength wise, and then he went for the kill with those ground and pounds. And Roger, maybe something happened to him. He tapped to strikes. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of people were shocked that he tapped to strikes. Uh, who knows what was going through his mind? Was it an injury? I didn't quite look into it, but
Right.
at the end of that match, it was, he tapped to strike. Why? I am not quite sure. Did he tap to strike, or was he injured and he had to tap? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but in a weekend where we saw a guy's finger get, uh, I mean, literally pulled off and then reattached again. Um, it's anybody's guess, and I do not at all. As somebody that doesn't fight himself, whatever way that you need to get to where you need to go for it. Go for it. So there you go. And Don McGuire says, "Age comes wisdom and knowledge. Also,
That's right.
gray hair
That's
voodoo."
right. That's right, man. That's
Hey,
right.
I've got at least three. I've got at least three. I'm a big boy now. I'm a big I'm a big kid now. you know. But speaking of somebody that is proving that he's not a kid at all, uh, Khalid Murat Saliev
Mhm.
defeats Fabio Aguilar, third round, third round decision. This was all wrestle heavy as you would expect for somebody of the ilk of Khalid, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Kind of taking a page and an ode to Habib Nurmagomedov.
Mhm. 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 Hey, one thing that we know about these mountainous Russians. One thing we know about them is they come with a weaponized wrestling, and Dagestan or whatever those regions are called. That wrestling that they share in that region, it's different. It's different from Western wrestling. It requires a certain, just like we just talked about pace.
Mhm.
This is the that new weapon that's being brought. I mean, it's been around. It's been around. Ken Shamrock, and
Right.
those guys were doing it in regards to focusing on endurance and all that. They've been doing it, but this new wrestling, this I'm sure it's not real. Perhaps it's because they train in high elevation. This is why
Right.
they have that different lung capacity. Whatever it is, whatever's giving them that edge, they come with that edge, right? So we understand that. Now all they have to do now is actually invest in some striking, and we've been seeing that. Later on, we'll also discuss
Mm-hmm.
two dudes, you know what I mean, that are
Yes, sir.
exhibiting these things that we're talking about. Khalid was able to do this. He's able to do this. His striking is it's not there yet, but it's almost complementing his wrestling. You know what I mean? Once it starts to complement in the yin yang manner, then you see a different fighter. Right now, he's still able to win at this level, but with more practice, he'll improve, and you'll see something different. I mean, he is 15-2, so he's not doing very bad. So, but there's always room for improvement. So,
Right.
you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's that. Now, before we get into the next fight, Don McGuire says, "My sponsor Anton Hood said you're a cool dude. Woods, did you bribe him, homie?" I didn't bribe anyone. Uh, hey,
Oh.
Antoine Hood has been on the show. Fearless Victory MMA. Shout out to that. And High Desert Python. So shout out to Antoine Hood. Uh, yeah, I'm just saying. All fam bam. Now, speaking of things that are bamming, right? Uh, if you ever get a weird question, maybe on Jeopardy, right? Theoretically, if Sasquatch and Rat Garbage faced off
Hmm.
against each other, who would win? Well, the answer is basically told itself last night because Mandel Malo, Rat
Hmm.
Garbage, beat
Hmm.
Ricardo Sexas in the very first round with a
Hmm.
KO TKO.
Hmm. Yes, yes, indeed. Uh, I really need to start paying more attention, right, to what's going on. Every time these dudes with these weird nicknames fight, I always pick against them, but then they always win.
Uh-huh.
So the next one with a ridiculous call sign, I'm just gonna have to pick them just because. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But
Yeah.
Mr. Mello was a sniper out there, man. He is his striking is top notch, high level, good speed, excellent bounce on the feet, 50-50 in the front and back. You know what I'm saying? A lateral movement, very good. Uses his reach advantage to the full extent of the law. You know what I mean? His opponent just couldn't reach him. He
No.
just couldn't reach him. For some reason, he just couldn't. He couldn't. Maybe it was. I mean, he was in flow state. Let's just call it that.
Hmm.
He was in flow state. The way he moved against Ricardo Saxon, he was in flow state. I don't think his opponent hit him one time. And if he did, it was something that was insignificant. He went in there and he toe tagged him. Period.
Yeah.
Toe tag.
Period. I agree. That's a toe tag. Dexter would be proud. Now, if it was, level up wrestling by a person with a Dagestani head shape. Heck, if you were asked, what would win, a tiger and an Autobot? Well, again, you got your answer because Magomed Magomedov defeats CJ Hamilton in the second round with a submission. Your thoughts?
Hey, what we were just talking about, this is
Mhm.
another example, right? But this guy right here is on a higher level. He's on a higher level. As we discussed last week, this is the fella that beat Pietre Yan, right? But
Yes,
Pietre came back and beat him and beat him. So
right.
it is what it is. But Pietre Yan has been the only person that's beaten this guy, right? So they're 1-1. We could probably see that fight in the future, you know what I mean, in that trilogy. But for right now, where he's at, he's on point. Magomedov, he is on point. His striking complements his wrestling, and he is using that cardio in his kickboxing and his wrestling as a hybrid. So when he goes in there, it's what we call a complete fighter. You know what I mean? He's like a Yuri Boyko type of in there. And he's putting it down, man. He took that fight, he took it to his opponent in the first round. Second round came, he upped the ante. He upped the ante. The push, the pressure, continuous combos, wrestling, take him down, slam him. It was just that it was just fitting together like a puzzle. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
CJ couldn't handle anymore, and CJ, he gave that neck, and he was choked out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, I pretty much knew this was going to happen. It was almost like Henry brought up Anton Hood of High Desert Pythons, right? It's almost like a python and the rat or whatever foe, right? You know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And it was a matter of when in the second round, 90 seconds into the second round. So there you go. Big win for Magomedov, right?
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
concludes the prelim portion of the card. But my goodness, I talk about historical significance, right? Because we had a epic women's flyweight fight between Kana Watanabe and Alejandra
Hmm.
Lara. Now,
Hmm.
uh, Amaro Nallo and the rest of the crew, there was another video package that, they kind of harken back to Strikeforce, the very first
Hmm.
fight, MMA fight
Hmm.
on Showtime as a part of Strikeforce
Hmm.
was, I believe it was Gina Carano as well as Julie Kedzie, who is a
Yeah.
commentator for Invicta, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
um, it's kind of apropos that we have a women's fight basically start off the main card in this kind of new iteration of Showtime MMA.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. It was very good and awesome to see Kana Watanabe go in there against Alejandra Lara. It was well matched. It was well matched. So the
Yes.
magnitude of this particular organization, for them to be under such pressure, it was a well matched fight, which kind of brought the best out of both uh,
Agreed.
uh, both fighters. It was a very close fight. You know, the judges saw a split decision. I understand. Uh, Kana Watanabe had just a little more. She had just a little more. She was more sharp. She was more rehearsed. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was like if both of them did a kick, one of them did 1,000 kick, and the other one did 1,500 kick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That difference was clear between the two of them. So I can understand why she got split decision. A lot of excellent grappling, of course. Lot of dominant positions executed by her by Kana. So this is why she got the split decision, and I totally agree. I believe we also called the split decision on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it was. I mean, Lara definitely had the striking advantage, right?
Hmm.
As but Watanabe had the judo prowess
Hmm.
that she had,
Hmm.
and I mean, there was the well. First off, Lara had she danced as well as competed in.
Right,
I
right,
want to say it was some traditional martial art striking discipline, and
right.
she kind of honored that part of her lineage, by dancing to the Bellator cage.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
there is the first trip, right? Lara was literally on Watanabe, and Watanabe did this like inside, foot trip. And
Right.
the thud that it made, it was like, ooh, damn, holy hell! But that just told you what we were in for. Both
Yeah,
athletes, both warriors giving no quarter, but
yeah.
Watanabe ending up with and it's funny because Josh Thompson, he was having none of it. He was like, "Who's that one judge?" Like I was like, "Oh, they're really gonna get into it." Like, who's the one judge that gave it to Lara? He was absolutely incest, So, but a decision, regardless whether it be split
Yeah.
or unanimous decision, it was all.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all Watanabe.
Yes, 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 indeed. Yes, indeed. It was a good match. It was a good
It
match.
was. Oh my
Hmm.
god! Like it was. Again, Bellator is off to a great start,
Hmm.
especially if
Hmm.
you had it. If you were just kind of kicking around on your Friday night, not anything to
Hmm.
do, and open up your Showtime app or was
Hmm.
browsing the channel if you have traditional cable,
Hmm.
and saw this, I think you would be happy with what you would see, and you would want more. You like it, you loved it, you want some more of Bellator's offering. So,
All right.
yeah, man, this was an incredible start. But speaking of incredible starts, we had Mike Magic Hamill
Hmm.
against Magic Mike Hamill against
Hmm.
Usman Nurmagomedov.
Yes, yes.
Obviously, that Nurmagomedov, he is Habib's cousin and Habib's
Hmm.
brother's cousin, right?
Hmm.
So he
Hmm.
was flanked by, I believe, I know it was Habib Javier Mendez of AKA American
Hmm.
Kickboxing Academy, and it could have been Habib's little brother who is signed to the UFC. But
Hmm.
man, if you guys thought this was just a regular like wrestling Nurmagomedov, you were
Mm-mm.
sorely mistaken because
Mm-mm.
the amount of snap that
Hmm.
Usman had. And it's funny because there's like that MMA name generator. Pick a champion in the welterweight division. Oh,
Hmm.
pick a with a 155-pound, whatever, and you got Usman Nurmagomedov, right? Kamara Usman, Habib Nurmagomedov, and whatever. But this is just
Hmm.
given name. I think it's
Hmm. Hmm.
absolutely great. But
Hmm.
the snap that Usman had with his kicks and
Hmm.
Magic Mike Hamill, oh my God,
Hmm.
he just kept on coming. Josh Thompson, it was just like this is a guy who stepped up. Uh, I want to say that Usman's original opponent had something happened, had to pull out of the fight. Uh, Obviously, Magic Mike kind of coming in to save the fight for this card, and he came in, willing to fight. He was pressuring Usman, and he kept on going, never lost the the sight of what was important, and that is winning.
Hmm.
And even Josh Thompson said, I think he etched his. This is a guy that you want to have on your roster.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Um, he. He is another of the mountainous Russians that is a complete fighter. This kid is very young. At 12-0, he as well as acquired free flow at will, simply because of his striking. He's got the ground. I mean, these people come with the ground, dominance on the ground. Primarily, that's what you're gonna see. But on
Yeah,
top of that, he has been able to complement all that wrestling with his hands and feet. His kickboxing is phenomenal. I always tell you guys that lead leg, one who is comfortable using that lead leg as a weapon of choice, similar to a jab, is somebody that's very, very dangerous. If they can do that with the lead side, what they're gonna do with the backside? The guarantee they'll be able to do spin kicks. And this is what's gonna raise the level of mixed martial arts and take it to that almost movie like, but it's real. You know what I'm saying? The
yeah,
combination that these kids are getting off in real battle is amazing. It's amazing. And I'm so happy to to be able to see like a Usman. You know what I mean? I'm happy that even though he can wrestle the hell out of people, he chooses not to. He chooses to use a different weapon. This is what mixed martial arts is all about. His
yeah,
striking was phenomenal. He went in there and he pieced up Mike Hamill, pieced him up. It was a point. It was like point karate, but it was beautiful to watch. And, and,
yes,
and I love the fact that he didn't use his wrestling. You know what I mean? That tells me he's taking the time to learn something else, and that is the embodiment of mixed martial arts. And he's doing his part. Khabib got off on the technicality. He was super good at one thing that just beat everybody. That's not the spirit of mixed martial art. You know what I mean? But whatever, man. Maybe that's just my opinion.
no, well, your opinions are valid. That's part of the reason why people tune in. So absolutely display your opinions. Yeah, and somebody that wants the opinions, along with myself, is Sebastian Hahn. Big Voodoo.
What's up, Bastion? Bastion is one of my boys from college. We used to skateboard together.
Right on. 10
Yeah.
points. 10 points,
What up,
Sebastian.
Bastion? Say what's up to the
Yes.
fan for me, huh?
There it is. There it is. Now, in a bit of bad blood, right? Because well, essentially, and I love this because you could tie in all of Fortune references, not the Impact Wrestling Fortune hybrid of what the Four Horsemen was supposed to be on a TNA scale. We're not talking about that Fortune. We're talking about Tyrell Fortune, right? Who was originally supposed to take on UFC alumnus Matt Mitrione, and it seems like Mitrione's fortune faded, but he gets to reignite a feud with the outlaw Jack May, and it was a weird one because first round KO TKO, Fortune, pretty much dominated May. May didn't feel like he was in it, right? He didn't. There, he looked withdrawn, at least to me, and it's kind of crazy because uh, Jack May was a heavyweight champion for Lights Out Extreme Fighting, right? A regional promotion here, the former
Mhm,
CXF, but neglected to go and defend his title because this deal with Bellator, right?
mhm,
Another
mhm.
run with the Big Show. So I'm not talking about Paul White. I'm not talking about that. But it's kind of fun to think about because Jack May essentially trades in a heavyweight title uh, to go 0-2 in Bellator.
Mhm. Hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. This one we saw coming from a mile away. After Tyrell Fortune got knocked out the other time, he learned
Yeah,
an invaluable lesson. He was on the perfect trail until he ran into that opponent. I can't remember the name, but he's made some adjustments. His shot is much better. It wasn't lazy like the last time he got knocked out. So now, going against Jack May, a striker, we knew that Jack was gonna have huge problems with this. I mean, Jack is a pretty tall fella. You know what I mean? His
Yes.
striking is great. His kickboxing is great. But when it comes to wrestling, his fluidity on the ground won't be the same as his striking prowess. So it won't he won't be getting the best out of himself in those moments on the ground. But Tyrell, on the other hand, he's a that's his world. This is where he comes from. You know, you go in there with a shark underwater. There's a low probability you're gonna get out if it's
Yep.
head up. You know what I mean? So this is what happened. Tyrell was the shark, and he damaged his opponent, Jack May, KO. So
No, 1,000%. And it seemed like the bad blood spilled over yet again. I mean, there was no shaking of the hands and teammates
mhm,
and all
mhm,
that. They were just like jaw jacking and what have you. Which, again, if you want beautiful violence, that's it. And it's
yeah,
kind of fun, right? At least to
yeah,
me, right? You had we're fighting, right? We're fighting,
mhm,
right? And then lose the fight and still want to go like, I'm gonna fuck you up. No,
mhm,
you can't. You had your opportunity. That didn't
yeah,
work.
yeah. It is what it is, right?
It is,
Yeah.
and we're gonna get more of it because we're at the co-main event of the evening, the ass-kicking machine, Jamaica's own
Mhm,
Jason Jackson defeats
mhm,
Neiman Gracie in a third round decision. Now,
mhm,
there was again, this has been a weird, like literally the day before we had somebody at CFFC 94 basically got their their finger lopped
mhm,
off, right? And we had an instance where Jason Jackson, was kind of hard on Neiman and whatever. And Neiman pulled him back and not protecting himself at all. Jason Jackson careens into the
mhm,
cage and ends up
mhm,
grating his face.
mhm,
His eye was
mhm,
all discombobulated. I
mhm,
think
mhm,
we would have seen a KO or TKO out of Jason Jackson.
mhm,
And if the kind of grating of the face didn't work, there was an
mhm,
instance
mhm,
where Neiman Gracie just literally like John Jones the shit out of him. I think he
mhm,
was in what is it, the Jamie Foxx show, kind of cosplaying as that. He went right
mhm,
into
mhm,
Jason Jackson's already visibly, you know, I guess handicapped, right? The
mhm,
handicapped
mhm,
eye.
mhm,
So that was that. But here's my takeaway: the Gracies are arguably the greatest family in all of martial arts, right? That
mhm,
that
mhm,
extends into the second Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu family, right? In
mhm,
terms of
mhm.
lineage, is the Machados.
That's fair.
But when you go into it, guess what? They're
Mhm,
cousins. They're cousins,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
So
That's
the
a fair
two top
statement.
families, yeah, no, they are like
Mhm,
the one of the Gracie uncles or grandfathers married in and
mhm,
whatever married a Machado, and that's how they're all
mhm,
related. So it's
mhm,
really one
mhm,
family. Gracie's and Machados,
mhm,
the two most prominent families in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu,
mhm.
are it.
Indeed.
So there's just nothing against that. But aside from Hickson and Henzo, the Gracies are not great fighters, right?
Mhm,
Like when you,
mhm,
there was a reason why, like, I mean, Sakuraba with all of his greatness, but he was able to pick off everyone. It literally took two generations of Gracies to
mhm, mhm,
to get it together. And Sakuraba was already in advanced age in his 40s, you know,
mhm,
uh,
mhm,
and didn't look bad against it until the very end, right? So, with that all being said, the Greases,
mhm, mhm.
for all Hoist
Yeah.
is a pioneer and everything, not great fighters.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So what's going on is um the Gracies, they of course Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Their it's it's a
Bread and
lifestyle
butter.
for them,
Yeah.
right? It's what they do, right? So 90% or 99% of their training is gonna be jujitsu because in and out, that's what they are. That is their life, right? So for them to have low striking ability, It's a fact. It's a legitimate fact because most of their training is jujitsu,
Mhm.
right? And then it puts them in a compromising situation. Even though jujitsu is a very dangerous weapon, if you have the anti venom, you can pretty much do whatever you want, right? To a jujitsu artist. And like you said, Sakuraba, he was a very, very good example of that. Jason Jackson, he initiated Operation Wrestling. His wrestling was up to par. His striking was phenomenal until his vision was compromised. Once his vision was compromised, I've had my eyes compromised before, and
Mhm.
under such pressure, when that guy is trained to destroy you, and you have like 50% vision, that's it does something to the mind, in regards to mind focus. You know what I mean? Like it's terrifying. It's a terrifying feeling, but then you have to keep it in focus, in check, otherwise the fight will fall apart. But he was able to do that. He kept it in check. It's a tough thing to do. I know from experience. It's a tough. He kept it in check, and surprisingly, he got a unanimous decision victory. The grappling was intense. The Gracie couldn't submit him. He couldn't
Nope.
submit him. You know what I mean? But I will say this. I will say this. This Gracie is the most complete Gracie I've seen in regards to striking, and at least
Yeah.
of this era, this
Yeah. I
modern,
agree.
this new Gracie. I mean, I don't see Henner in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't see
Right.
Henner. What's his name?
Crone.
Hicks Crone. Crone.
Crone.
Crone. Crone is a boxer. I don't see Crone kicking much. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? This guy kicked. He outstruck
Yes.
Jason Jackson. He outstruck
Yeah.
him on the
I
on
thought
the.
that was. I didn't think it was accurate, and a lot of people kind of,
Okay.
but I did. I mean, the numbers were off, but where
The
did he
numbers, yes,
outstrike Jason Jackson? Absolutely, 100%.
yes, but the significant shots came from Jason Jackson. He was
Mm-hmm.
throwing with intent to knock your block off. You know what I mean? The other guy was, keeping up with the pressure, keeping up with the striking department. You know what I mean? But really, he wanted to do jujitsu, right? His whole primary focus was jujitsu. But Jackson shut the hips down, man. You shut the hips of a Gracie down, they can't do
Yeah.
anything because they don't have any striking. So that's what happened here. Jason Jackson was able to get the win.
Right, absolutely. And just to kind of build upon that, right? So everybody talks about, I can beat the shit out of you with one arm tied behind my back, right? So Jason Jackson had his eye damn near, I mean, we just had a fucking deal in the UFC where an
Mm-hmm.
eye poke ended a match, right? Ended Bilal
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad's, aspirations to achieve any, like
Mm-hmm.
pole vaulting literally 8 fighters in terms of the rankings in the UFC,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it thwarted,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Jason Jackson, not to compare it, it was a little less severe than Bilal Muhammad's, but even
Mm-hmm.
still, he was noticeably like handicapped in this particular endeavor. And
Mm-hmm.
even still, the most complete Gracie of this era couldn't put him away, right? So what that
Mm-hmm.
tells me, I might be crazy, right? But if the and here's the thing, who did Neiman have in his corner?
Uh, Henzo, I believe Henzo Gracie.
Henzo and Rafael Cordero.
Okay, okay, okay. So that explains why his striking of this modern era, right? Remember I said that earlier. His
Yeah,
striking is a lot better than I've seen, even better than Crone Gracie. Crone is an excellent boxer, but he is no kickboxer, and
right.
that keeps him limited in regards to the striking. Um,
Yeah,
this guy, he's more balanced.
you're
He's
right.
just a
But
little bit better, but he's better.
right, but even still, with again a unanimous decision still went to Jason Jackson
Yes.
with his
Yes.
eye damn near fucking falling off
Mm-hmm.
his head, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say? And Don McGuire makes a great point. Matt Hughes is a Gracie killer, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I would say
yeah,
Sakuraba's there.
yeah, yeah.
Sakuraba more than Hughes, but even still, right? They're
Mhm.
beatable
Yeah.
if jiu-jitsu isn't enough, especially in this
Mhm.
day and age. You know,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I I I wonder what's going to happen because I mean,
Mhm.
Jason Jackson had Sanford MMA, Henry Hoops,
Mhm.
like that whole deal, chaining with Michael Chandler, all of this
Mhm. Mhm.
jazz. But again,
Mhm.
with all the great that Sanford MMA has basically cultivated, you know, the former Black Zillions to
Mhm.
now Sanford and what is it? There's another deal, like
Mhm. Mhm.
450 or something like that. But
Mhm.
um, even still, that does. I mean, when you talk about history and championships won between Rafael Cordero and Hicks, I mean Henzo, right? Henzo
Mhm.
Gracie,
Mhm.
that thwarts everything. That does,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
even with a game plan, right, and a fucked up eye, he still
Mhm.
couldn't put. He couldn't even get a split decision. This went
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
unanimous, right?
Mhm.
So even
Yeah.
the most complete Gracie of this era, with two Hall of Fame coaches
Mhm. Mhm.
and a guy with a fucked up eye, which you
Mhm.
helped
Mhm.
further the divide in terms of
Mhm.
his separation from his vision in that eye by
Mhm.
literally Jamie
Mhm.
Foxxing him.
Mhm. 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 Yes, that's
Just
a valid point. That's a valid point. Uh, you have great evidence. This is one of your evidence. Yes, I totally agree. Uh, Jiu-jitsu is a beautiful art. As a self-defense, it's highly effective against the uninitiated. Those who have a basic understanding will be able to defend themselves against it easily. Not to talk about those who are highly trained at defending against it and using it as a weapon themselves. You know what I mean? So that's what we witnessed here. Tradition, tradition and evolution, right? Some people might not believe in evolution, but
mm-hmm.
the evolution here is the progress. The progress meaning taking those jujitsu submission skills, mixing it up with wrestling, and creating that new hybrid, right? That new hybrid is the future. Jiu-jitsu is great. I'm not saying it isn't. Jiu-jitsu is great.
Yeah.
But that hybrid, that wrestling slash jiu-jitsu hybrid, the one that I love so much at Peterson Grapplers, you know what I mean? That's what it is, man. That's what it is. And Sakuraba was an example of it. You know what I mean? Uh, Mr. Jason Jackson today, I mean yesterday, is another example of it. We see it all the time now. Just
Mm-hmm.
like Mr. McGuire just said, Matt Hughes is another one.
Yep.
You know what I'm
And,
saying?
and
So
you can beat them with a true wrestling base.
straight up, straight up. You know what I mean? Just shut their heads down and there's nothing. Wrestling, from all wrestling positions, it's all attack with your hands. If you know what I mean? If the option's there, right? Jiu-jitsu, it's not always that. They don't strive for top all the time. Wrestling strives for top at all times, right? That mentality is different. It is an advantage to work off your back, right? Right? But I think I'd rather just prepare to stay off my back. You know what I
Right.
mean? I believe I'm more effective that way if I just work on staying off my back and giving myself more opportunity to get the finish, knockout, submission, whatever. I want to stay on my feet. I don't want to work off my back. No takedowns. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the very, 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 very best right now, their takedown ratio is very low. John Jones. How many people have taken him down? You know what I'm saying? The Hawaiian kid at the 145-pound division, uh,
Max Holloway.
Max Holloway. How many people take him down? Not often. You know what I mean? The ones that are cream of the crop don't usually get taken down. You know what I mean? That it's that wrestling defense. It's that mindset of I'm not trying to get on my back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to for what? I don't want to be on my back. You know what I'm saying? So wrestling provides this. You know? So take those submissions, throw it in some wrestling, and you got a whole nother weapon. That's right. Matt Hughes, yep, said
Yeah,
Hoist Gracie
was this
was
easy?
his easiest
Yeah,
fight. Shut the hips
right.
down, man, and then ground and pound. Shut the hips down, ground and pound. Shut the
Right,
hips down and ground and pound. A
right.
little shout out to E40 right
Yes.
there.
Oh no.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
brother. Go
man.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, but I yeah, it's and I guess I mean a shout out to DMX who's not in a good way right
Right,
now. Yeah,
right.
so yeah, when my dog's at Rough Rider for life. Not
Yeah.
actually, but yeah, I flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, slipping, dude.
Mm.
Again, come on, DMX, fucking kick out, kick out.
Uh, unfortunate event, man. And to think that it was a friend of his that tricked him into doing it for the first time. Event
Mm-hmm.
ultimately ending him then. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a burden on his life. Ever since he did it that first time, it was a burden on his life until now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Shout outs to DMX, and I'm wishing him all the best, man. DMX is he's a great soul. He's a great
Yes.
soul. Um, to stand up when he stood up, to speak out when he spoke out. You know what I mean? It's good to see that not all of them are puppets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that are puppets, right?
Yes.
But DMX, through his actions, you know what I mean? He had a revolutionary style,
Mm-hmm.
way of life. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
shout out to DMX, man. I hope he makes it out of this one, man. I'd love to see him
Absolutely.
continue his career.
Just to continue his life. He's got uh, kids and all that want him around.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's like the song that Joey Diaz plays in a lot of his earlier podcasts before the
mm,
copyright thing, whatever. But
mm,
I want to
mm,
be
mm.
around to pick up the pieces when
That's right.
somebody breaks your heart. And
That's right.
he's
That's right.
alive. I love it.
That's right.
Love it.
That's right.
But
That's
what
right.
I love is we are at the main event of the evening. This was a simultaneous defense of the Bellator MMA Featherweight Championship, as well as an advancement fight for the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix. Right. So the winner of this basically retains, or either retains in the instance of Patricio Pitbull, or gains and earns the Bellator title, and then goes up and faces the other side of the bracket winner, AJ McKee, the undefeated 17-0. Uh, I don't even know if we could call him a prospect at this point. He's a tenured young veteran. But the
Mm-hmm.
way that this one went, it was all Patricio Pitbull all day.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, it was first round 3 minutes and 35 seconds and what have you, but it was pretty apparent pretty early on that Emmanuel Sanchez had nothing to thwart any of Pitbull's stuff. It just
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the wrestling, didn't have,
Mm-hmm.
like, he just felt like it was such a high level that Patricio Pitbull was operating under. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
know he got flack right before this, right? Because he was saying, "Hey, well, if uh, if Michael Chandler, wins the 145 pound, title, well, guess what? The UFC can rest assured that they have maybe the second best." He flexed really hard and said, "Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you'll have the second best or
Mm-hmm.
third best featherweight in
Mm-hmm.
the world, but the number one,
Mm-hmm.
featherweight that walks and roams this earth is
Mm-hmm.
me." Obviously, I'm
Mm-hmm.
paraphrasing it, but that was
Mm-hmm.
essentially the sentiment. And Patricio Pitbull, he was just, everybody wanted him to eat crow, but no crow he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That was not
Mm-hmm.
on the menu at the
Mm-hmm.
Mohegan Sun. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
Sanchez is a
Indeed.
freak. He is a
Yes,
freak,
yes,
but
yes,
he's
yes.
Pitbull went with freaks versus Pitbulls. Apparently, Pitbulls win.
Hmm. Hey, well, we Sanchez is a freak. Indeed, he is. Right? He's very good. He's a balanced mixed martial artist. He's got everything that he needs to succeed in this world of mixed martial arts. But one thing that I'm noticing about Patricio Pitbull is this. Patricio has the ability that I've only seen, well, I wouldn't say just only seen because many other people have done it. But the first time that I saw this, where a fighter, let's say for example, Floyd Mayweather when he fought Almeida,
Yeah, Thomas
right?
Almeida.
He fought Almeida the first time. There was a little struggle, right? He
Not
even
Thomas
got rocked
Almeida.
in that fight. He got rocked in
Thomas
that
Almeida's
fight.
in the UFC. I'm fucking up.
Ricardo Almeida, then
Maybe Orona.
whatever. No, no, no,
Ricardo
no.
Orona.
This
No.
guy, this guy was Argentinian. I remember that much, and I remember his last name is Almeida, something like that. Anyways, so Mayweather was able to win that fight, but then they had a rematch. They had an immediate rematch, and he went in there and he cleaned him up real quick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like a different fighter fighting him. The IQ had grown
Maidana.
so much more. Yeah. Maidana Almeida.
Maidana.
Almeida
I was
Maidana.
like, I know I fucked up. I was like, that's a UFC fighter. Good God.
Something like that. So,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. So the first time I noticed someone doing that consistently was Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? And then now I'm watching Patricio. Patricio is exhibiting these characteristics, right? Because the way he took on Emmanuel Sanchez, it was very easy. Uh, Going into the fight at the press conferences, he was confident. He just knew. He just knew what was going to happen. He knew it was going to be easy. So he didn't even really trip about it. He was just doing his thing. Yeah, I got to do press conference. Okay, I'll do press conference. Okay, is it time to beat this dude? Okay, let's get in there. He was able to finish him in what? 2.5 minutes or something like that?
Something like that.
Something ridiculous like that? Uh, 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 he was patient. Immediately, he took the center of the octagon and he was patient. He made Emmanuel come to him. You know what I mean? He attacked every now and then, but the main thing was to draw him in. Come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. This is the technique he used. He drew him in. Once he drew him in, he put the hand speed on him. And then he pretty much stopped him with his hands. I believe it was a hook to the chin that did it. A hook to the
Yeah.
chin and then another across to the body that just laid him out completely. Uh, Patricia is very powerful human being. Very powerful human being. It makes logical sense that he's running the 145-pound division and the 155-pound division. Based on those power alone, he's able to take that power from 145 and take it to 155 with him. And he doesn't lose any speed. You know what I mean? He's very strong at 135 and he's very I mean 145. He's very strong at 145, and he's even stronger at 155. And he's just knocking suckers out, man. Knocking
Yeah.
suckers out. Now he's gonna go in there against your boy, Mr. McGuire. He's going in there against AJ McKee and your boy too as well, according to Woods. He's going in there, and there you go, man. There you go. Mr. McGuire says AJ McKee would destroy Pitbull. McKee has beaten the whole stable and hasn't shown his whole arsenal. McKee is just coming into his man strength. His fight IQ continues to grow. Very true. I am actually going for McKee as well, according to Woods. What do you think? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
I,
I.
I
I.
I'm picking right
I.
now.
No.
I'm picking right
100%. I.
now.
I think
Yeah.
if styles make fights, right?
Hmm.
AJ McKee has the style to basically beat Pitbull. He's
Exactly.
stronger. He's
Exactly.
the reach is there. Like everything. The age. And 17 fights, right? 17 fights
Hmm.
undefeated. He hasn't taken
Yep.
a lot of damage, like Don
Yep.
McGuire
Yep.
says. he hasn't
Yep.
grown into his man strength yet, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, what is he, like 22, 23, some odd like that? He's definitely
Something.
not
Yeah.
25, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Yep.
that's, that's it. And nothing against Pitbull. He is, levels above Emmanuel Sanchez, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
He's, I mean, Emmanuel Sanchez, Emmanuel Stewart, Emmanuel Newton, every Emmanuel, right? Every Emmanuel. The little kid that played Webster, that Emmanuel. He's, you know, he's he's Rahm Emanuel, the guy that got, the Obama chief of staff that got his finger cut off at Arby's and slicing whatever, the mayor of Chicago. Every Emmanuel, again, Pitbull is light years ahead, right?
That's right.
But,
That's right.
but, even a level higher than that, an echelon higher than
Mhm.
that is AJ McKee. And I'm not saying
That's
this
right.
because, hey, him and Antonio might be on the According to What's podcast on
Mhm.
Wednesday. I'm not just saying
Mhm.
that, right? I'm
Mhm.
not just
Mhm.
saying that because I talked to them right
That's
as they were
right.
heading right back to California.
That's right.
But I'm saying it because it's true. And again, I'm
Mhm.
prepared to eat crow if
Mhm.
my prediction isn't true when the fight comes. That
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
Christmas come early because I
Mhm.
think what this fight, you're going to see the best in both of them. Best in
Mhm.
Patricio
Mhm.
Pitbull, and the
And
best of
AJ.
AJ McKee, right?
Mhm.
You're good.
Mhm.
You're going to see the best of them. And this
Mhm.
fight, right, in a world where people might not have that are basically sampling the product now that it's on Showtime, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Again, when God, Pat Curran was doing his thing. Eddie Alvarez and Michael Chandler were doing their thing, right? With those were the things when Bellator was on MTV2 that
Mhm.
people were looking at like, what the fuck is this? I
Mhm.
need more
Mhm.
of it, right? And it gave
Mhm.
birth. I don't think if not for Pat Curran and Eddie Alvarez and obviously the aforementioned Michael Chandler
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
and that the trilogy Chandler and Alvarez,
Yep.
Bellator
Yep.
would not.
That's
That's not
true.
hyperbole, right?
That's
But
true.
again,
That's true.
this fight with McKee
Mhm.
and Pitbull,
Mhm.
this is going to take Bellator in the realm where they
Mhm.
might be a legitimate contender or a
It.
legitimate. No, nothing contends against the UFC. The UFC is that.
Mhm.
I when people are like, oh, we're going to be the next UFC. We're going to be the
Mhm.
next WWE. They are
Mhm.
established. That is cool. But
Mhm.
if you want an alternative, right, as a fan, as a fighter, as a sponsor, as a what have you,
Mhm.
this fight right here, this is a mil. I mean, it's not hyperbole. This is $1 million fight. It is
Mhm.
absolutely $1 million fight, right? This
Yes.
fight
Yes.
is going to attract people to come over to Bellator. It is going
Mhm.
to add so much, even more luster than the Bellator
Mhm.
titles. It doesn't matter if you're a flyweight, women's champion, or a heavyweight. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter. This fight right here will add luster because that is the
Mhm.
same
Mhm.
title that is being contended. It
Mhm.
in a world where PFL, like you mentioned earlier, is doing
Mhm.
$1 million deals, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Guess what? Now, when you say $1 million deal, this is this is the benchmark. This is the gold standard. What we're going to see in McKee versus Pitbull. So
Mhm.
again, get ready. And Don Garber says, thinking even farther than us. When McKee wins Bellator, we'll have to bring in new fighters, which
Mhm.
that's exactly what you want to do, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You want the guy with the gold, the
Mhm.
guy or girl with the gold, with the money, right? To
Mhm.
be the man,
Mhm.
you have to beat the man, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's a euphemism, and it is
Mhm.
absolutely true. It is absolutely true in every facet of occupation. If you're the CEO of a company, if you're a manager on the floor of a retail establishment, whatever, there's somebody somewhere that made you want to rise to the level and the echelon of those people, right? And I think this is exactly when we're going to get more contenders in
Mhm.
featherweight. Well, guess what? It's because AJ McKee is there. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
no longer can the UFC say again. I think Pitbull was right in
Mhm.
the sense that he
Mhm.
was saying Chandler could win the UFC title, and again with Holloway, with whatever, we still got the two best featherweights in the world, and I agree. I think the top three, the top three featherweights in the world, in no particular order, is AJ McKee,
Mm-hmm.
Juicio Pitbull, and
Mm-hmm.
Max Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
again, those are interchangeable at any given
Yes.
time. But two
Yes.
out of the three are Bellator fighters, and that are going to
Mm-hmm.
be the centerpiece of not only a championship. I mean, this is all the marbles. This is almost similar to what Ryan Bader found himself in when he
Mm-hmm.
fought Fedor, right? It
Yes.
is the culmination of the Grand Prix tournament, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
belt there,
Mm-hmm.
plus an actual lineal Bellator featherweight title. So two championships and $1 million. This is for all the marbles, right? But again, after everything is done, right? After all the smoke is settled, right? After all the pomp and circumstance has ceased, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are the fights. If you're training right now and you are gutting as an amateur or pro the featherweight division, right? Where you want to test your mettle in the very best in the world, this is going to cement Bellator's stake in claim. Where
Mm-hmm.
fighters from PFL, fighters from the UFC are
Mm-hmm.
looking at Bellator and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yo,
That's yep. Yep.
this is the fight.
That's right. That's right. That's right. This is arguably the best fight to make right now in Bellator. Uh,
And they have
arguably
Bellator the
the
whole fucking anime
biggest.
universe.
Yeah, arguably the biggest fight in Bellator history right here with these two young men because they're both very well established. And now with the connection with Showtime, you know what I mean? This particular fight, I actually watched it on YouTube. I ran into
Yeah,
it. I was like, "What?" I just kept watching on YouTube. But the now the connection with Showtime, it's gonna popularize uh, uh Bellator a little bit more. Give them that additional platform that they so badly need. You know what I mean? Because they do have good fighters. I thoroughly enjoyed this particular card. It was very well executed. Scott Coker, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good
yeah.
job. He's always been consistent. He's always been consistent with his product, and it was a very good show. It was good. I enjoyed it. The headline was a pretty good fight. Lots of striking, next level striking. You know what I mean? That flow, that free flow state. You know what I mean? That free flow. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And we saw that in many, many, many different, at least four fighters in this particular card. Already exhibiting just one card. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that transformation is already beginning. It's already beginning. All the young fighters are adding dynamic striking to their repertoire. You know what I mean? So if they come from jiu-jitsu, also dynamic striking. If they come from Dagestani wrestling, also dynamic striking. This is setting the next bar. You know what I mean? Roger Huerta, he ran into this particular problem that we're discussing right now. Yes, he's
Yeah.
wise. He's
Yeah.
wise. You know what I mean? He is wise, but you know what I mean? The other kid was better. He was better. And the push, the cardio, the push, once your body reaches a certain maturity, it starts to decrease in efficiency. Like not like a young man's body, A young man's body can push those intense moments a lot harder. But once you start to get older, you have to rely more on wisdom, right? Hoping that the young man makes a mistake and then you can capitalize on it. But if he doesn't make a mistake, then you're stuck. And he was stuck. Right, Huerta was stuck, and he was able to get finished. But testament to the product that Bellator is bringing to the forefront. You know what I mean? To Showtime. I really appreciate this card. It's good to see somebody else doing good. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
good to see somebody else doing good because it makes the whole family, the mixed martial art family, better. When it's good, healthy competition between these companies, then the fighters can get uh, uh, a say so. Options. It's good to have options. PFL, you know what I mean? They were the ones to start talking about $1 million contracts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? UFC did it, right? They did it for the Ultimate Fighter, but someone else is doing it, and that's a very, very good thing. Two are doing it now. Even One FC. One FC is turning up some great products over there too, man.
Yeah,
Mighty Mouse is gonna be fighting what on Wednesday on TNT. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So One FC is like, hey man, we over here too, American
mhm,
audience. We over here too, West.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Hey, we're on
yeah.
TNT. You know what I mean? WWE used to be on TNT, right?
No,
Right?
WCW, and
WCW. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
and AEW is there now.
There you go. There you go. So, like, hey, we here, we right here, man. Like DMX was saying, we right here. They want a piece of the pie too. They want a piece of that Western media. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
Western attention, the greatest mixed martial art attention there is. So they want a piece of that. They want a piece of that action, and I'm not mad at them. They have great
yeah,
product over there. The world should be able to see it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
it's also very good competition for the UFC, which is good. Choices is always good. So there you go.
No, 100%. And Don McGuire, he mentions that a little bit of history. McKee's first fight was on a Pitbull card. McKee walked up to
Mm,
Pitbull and said, "I'm coming for that belt." McKee has beaten everybody in the weight class, which a
mm,
little bit of an asterisk. I believe it was Antonio that was fighting on the Pitbull card, right? And AJ was
mm,
just there to support his dad and get,
mm,
and more
mm,
Ronaldo touched on it a bit
mm,
because AJ's first fight in Bellator, and this one is, I mean, it was a Southern California all star, man. When you look at some of this, right,
mm,
that was way back at Bellator 136 that
mhm,
took
mhm,
place in Irvine, but
mm,
that was AJ McKee's first professional victory was
mhm,
against my two guys, one phone compatriot in Marcos El
mhm,
Matador Bonilla.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
so that was that. That was at Bellator 136. But
mhm,
even still, it's a pretty cool moment because now he's kind of fulfilling a prophecy that he set out, and it was really cool that AJ basically showed his composure, right? He
mhm,
didn't smack talk, Pitbull, the whole commentary deal. There was, because some fighters have done that in terms of their commentary iterations where they basically go into business or themselves and almost forget why they're there in the first place to call the fights, whatever. But once he entered the cage, when people was there, then he
mhm,
turned it on, right? And I
mhm,
commend AJ McKee for that because again,
mhm,
you don't go. You basically did the best to sell the fight. He was
mhm,
talking about Pitbull's strengths. He was
mhm,
being non-partial, which is what you
mhm,
should be
mhm,
as a commentator, right?
mhm,
And then
mhm,
once he left his commentator spot,
mhm,
he went into AJ McKee, the fighter, and selling
mhm,
this
mhm.
fight, which
That's
they
right.
both did beautifully. So again, love it, want some more of it. And again,
Mhm,
in terms of the featherweight kind of landscape of where we stand here in 2021, right?
mhm,
So you've got AJ McKee versus Pitbull.
mhm,
We were supposed to get Volkanovski, the UFC featherweight champ, against Brian Ortega, right?
mhm, mhm.
Let's be impartial. Which one looks more sexy to you? Which one, as a fight fan and connoisseur, are you more excited for?
Definitely AJ McKee and Patricio Pitbull. And all honesty, I have to be honest. Uh, Volkanovski just doesn't get my blood boiling. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Um, Especially the way the Max Holloway fights went. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
felt Max Max won those fights,
Exactly.
and for the fact that they give it to him again, I didn't understand. Max was tearing him up. You know what I mean? Yeah, he
Yes.
got some kicks in. Got some kicks in. Great, but
Kicks.
like yeah,
Is
kicks
this
are
soccer?
good.
Is this soccer?
Kicks,
Where you win
kicks are
fucking games when you
yeah.
use your feet? Is this
kicks
soccer?
are kicks are okay, man. I love kicking, but sometimes, man,
If
that
somebody's
particular
whooping your
moment call
ass,
for hands.
if
Call
somebody
for
whooped your
hands.
ass twice
Hmm.
and then it gets called and you look like you fucking went through a fucking meat grinder and shit like that
Hmm. Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
retain whatever, are you really the champion?
Yeah,
You know, and again,
yeah.
no disrespect to Brian Ortega, but
Mhm.
I mean, Ortega is the uncrowned champion in my estimation, right?
Right,
But
right.
he may have a hard time with it. People probably, I mean, that's a fight to make, right?
Mhm,
If you
mhm,
want to talk about the supremacy of the featherweight division, let's
mhm,
say AJ McKee beats Pitbull. Let's
mhm,
say Ortega beats Volkanovski. The fight
mhm,
to make is this is the battle of the fucking, the South Bay. This is
mhm,
the T City right here, right? Long Beach,
mhm, mhm,
San Pedro. This is what
mhm,
we got, right? Crosstown rivalry. Brian T City Ortega as the UFC featherweight champion, and AJ McKee, repping Long Beach, Lakewood, and
mhm,
that's what you do. Like
mhm.
that's it. But again,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, if you go top three lightweights, I mean featherweights in the world, as we stand right here, two of them belong to Bellator. That's
Mhm,
facts.
mhm. That's true. That's true. Very, very true. Very,
So
very true.
we will
Uh,
see what's going on. Oh, good.
TJ Dillashaw is back, man. I'm looking forward to seeing TJ back, man. TJ versus the Sandman. I look forward to seeing that matchup. I can't wait
Yeah,
to see
no,
that matchup.
can't wait to see that. So I mean, to kind of pivot, we have UFC on ABC two, the second incarnation of UFC on ABC. So this is kind of wild because, hey, we didn't, not since the Wild, what was it, the Wild World of Sports, did we get
Hmm.
all types of other shit,
On
on
ABC.
ABC, right?
Hmm.
Absolutely. So this one is going to be amazing. We've got a hell of a lot of oh man, this is probably better than a lot of UFCs. And Kevin Holland has stepped in again to face
Hmm.
Marvin Vettori
Hmm.
after the original scheduled bout of oh, Darren Till. Darren
Hmm.
Till got his
Yep.
collarbone injury, so
Hmm.
we will be previewing that said matchup. Um, that will be Tuesday. So we will. Oh, Thursday, I should say Thursday.
Thursday.
My
Yep.
my days with the T's. I know it starts
Hmm.
off with the T, ends in a day, but
Hmm.
regardless of the fact, we will be previewing that this coming Thursday. And
Yep.
also, hey,
Yep.
it's WrestleMania week this coming week. So I can't wait. Josh Barnett's Bloodsport kind of is the same day, so can't wait for that. So fun times if you're a fight fan. So check us out. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the Voodoo and Woods podcast on Facebook and YouTube. And Voodoo, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Oh man. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook page, Twitter, Voodoo Maximus, all day, every day.
Yes, and I am the humble According to Woods, and you can find me everywhere there. If you like podcasts, if you like dumb shit memes, hey, I'm your guy. I'm your fucking guy. So we and hey, for those, hey, the According to Woods YouTube page is at 396. Let's finish out the
That's what's
weekend.
up.
Yes, let's finish out the weekend and get that 4 subscriptions to make it 400. 400. And the
Yeah.
closer we get to monetization, you will own a bit of it in the sense that that you help your friends get to where they need
That's
to be.
right.
So
That's right. That's
one
right.
step closer, one step closer, as this guy said, not so much to the edge, but Chester Bennington said, one step closer, right? So
Yeah.
let's get us one step closer. But
Yeah.
we are one step closer for the next Voodoo in the Woods coming to you this coming Thursday. So be cool. Literally, like, stay cool because it's hot as shit right now. So be good, and we will see you on Thursday with more Voodoo in the Woods.